Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon and to focus on a topic that generates lots of interest, but at least from my experience, also a lot of confusion and controversy. I want to start by drawing a connection between the IT industry and the fashion industry. I think both industries are characterized by a high degree of uncertainty, and the response as a result of that uncertainty is a very rapid rise and an equally rapid fall in terms of new fashions. What's happening here? As a result, in terms of the fashion industry, you have very frequently fashions that become enduring, but more often than not, large investment in fashions that prove to be only transitory. And so I think the challenge with a very new technology like Web 2.0 is to address the skepticism that naturally accompanies a lot of the buzz that one sees in the press. In addressing the skepticism, I find it useful to focus on three broad questions. First of all, what is it? And in the case of Web 2.0, that's a non-trivial question. Because there are a lot of different flavors and interpretations of what Web 2.0 is, and a lot of confusion. And so I'll talk a bit about definitions of Web 2.0. And that leads to a second question, which is where's the money? Ultimately, for these technologies to be sustainable, there has to be an economic model behind them that will drive adoption and sustain use of the technology. And then third, what's required to harness the value of the technology? So let me start with the first question of what is it? And there is a lot of skepticism around this set of technologies. No less of a prominent skeptic than Tim Berners-Lee, the initial developer of the World Wide Web, basically came up with the observation that Web 2.0 is, of course, a piece of jargon. Nobody even knows what it means. So when Tim Berners-Lee expresses that amount of skepticism, one wants to be a bit careful. There's another Tim O'Reilly, who actually was the original developer. O'Reilly Media was the initial developer of the term Web 2.0. And Tim, on a variety of occasions, has tried to define what the term means. Probably his most succinct definition is the network as platform, which is at one level helpful, but on the other level doesn't really differentiate what's really different about Web 2.0, since one could equally say that the World Wide Web in its initial form was the network as platform, and even the internet could be viewed as the network as platform. So what's really different about Web 2.0? Now, Tim O'Reilly is positively clear relative to some of the other proponents of Web 2.0. One of the prominent ones is Ross Mayfield, who is the founder of Social Text, a leading commercializer of wiki technology. His definition of Web 2.0 is that it's people. Well, again, that's helpful at one level. It is about people. But what really differentiates this? How does one know whether one is looking at Web 2.0 technology or just people interacting in general? So there's a ground for strong skepticism and controversy, and it prompted Tim O'Reilly to come back with a more extensive definition in 2006. His definition at that point was Web 2.0 is the business evolution in the computer industry caused by the move to internet as platform. And chief among these rules is build applications that harness network effects to get better the more people use them. So this starts to give a little more grounding as to what this technology is about, and it focuses not just on the technology but the business implications, and in particular the notion of network effects, that one is creating the opportunity for applications that do get better the more people use them. But it's still not very helpful for business executives who are struggling to understand what it means for them. Their reaction to Web 2.0, I find, is captured in a lyric from a song that was popular back in the 1960s by Buffalo Springfield. And the lyric goes, "There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear." So in response to some of the confusion, I've tried to offer a definition of my own of what this technology involves. And it focuses on a variety of elements or dimensions. First of all, to build on Tim O'Reilly, it is about an emerging network-centric platform. And the key emphasis on emerging, this is still evolving and rapidly bootstrapping based on contributions of a variety of technologies. But it's a platform to support distributed, collaborative, and cumulative creation. So the emphasis here is not just on participation or communication, but actual creation of joint work products by distributed participants that are collaborating together. And it's by its users. So it's a broad form of creation that enlists users of all types, not just producers or professionals, but everyone who interacts with the applications that are available in Web 2.0. It helps to draw the contrast between Web 1.0 and Web 2.0 on a variety of dimensions. And of course the boundaries are not very clear, but the focus is on where the bulk of investment concentrated over time. In Web 1.0, the focus of investment was around presentation, whereas in Web 2.0 it's about participation. Web 1.0 was about publication versus Web 2.0, which is much more around conversation. Another contrast would be Web 1.0 was about aggregation of information. Web 2.0, much more about aggregation of people and functionality, not just information, but activity. And the bottom line would be Web 1.0 focused on consumption. Web 2.0 is focused on creation activity. Another source of confusion and in discussing this technology is the distinction between service-oriented architectures and Web 2.0. And I think it's interesting, first of all, to reflect on some of the similarities between these technologies. They are quite similar in that they both reconceive software and data as services that can be accessed regardless of location. They also view services as platforms, not as self-contained entities, but as building blocks that can be built upon in a cumulative way. They support distributed and cumulative creation, and they're both built upon the foundation of XML as a core standard. So some very strong similarities between these two sets of technologies, but it's ironic that given these similarities, that there's also a cultural chasm that separates proponents of these two sets of technologies. On the one hand, if you talk to SOA evangelists, they tend to dismiss Web 2.0 technologies as lightweight toys that are not suitable for real work in an enterprise. On the other hand, the Web 2.0 evangelists will come back and say, will SOAs ever do real work given the bloated standards and time that's consumed in generating architectural blueprints? When will this technology ever do real work?